Hey, what's going on? Luke here, and we are coming into the 2023 NRL season not long until it kicks off, and there's always going to be talk about who's signing with who and who's a good fit for what club and all that sort of stuff. And for today's video, we're going to be talking about Mitchell Moses. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about where he's going to end up. At one point, they were talking about him signing with the Bulldogs. That seems to have fallen flat with Oluwapu, whatever his name is, the guy from the Broncos. He ended up signing with the Bulldogs, so they've sort of taking that off the table, and it's sort of been left to Parramatta retaining him and the West Tigers bringing him back home. Now, the point of this video, as you can tell probably by the title, depending on what I call it, is the fact that I think Mitchell Moses is a bad signing for whoever ends up signing him. Now, you might be thinking, like, the guy's a good player. Yes, Mitchell Moses is a fantastic player. In my opinion, he's one of the better halfbacks in the comp, but is he someone who I think is actually going to win you a comp? No, I don't. And I'm going to sort of talk about my reasons why, and also talk about why he's just not good value for whatever team he ends up with. Now, let's look at his actual career himself. So he's played just short of 200 NRL games. I think he's at like 198. He's played one game for New South Wales, which was a couple of years ago, and he lost that game. And he's made one grand final appearance in which they lost that game as well. Apart from that, he doesn't really have a lot of accolades. Now, you look at a lot of other halfbacks, and you look at some of the better halfbacks in the game. Obviously, Nathan Cleary is the number one. He's someone who's always going to be talked about. You got Cherry Evans. You got your guys like Ben Hunt. You always got a lot of decent halfbacks in the game. Mitchell Moses is right up there in terms of being one of the better ones. But in terms of him, like what he's asking for in terms of contract-wise compared to what he actually delivers on the field and accolades and that sort of stuff, he is someone who doesn't fit in with the rest of them, you know what I mean? Look at Nathan Cleary, what he's done. You look at what Cherry Evans has done, even Ben Hunt. Whether it's, at club level, origin level, Mitchell Moses doesn't really have anything to fall back on in terms of that sort of stuff. And I know it's super hard, and I'm probably being harsh because the field has been so dominated by a couple teams. So, winning grand finals, Nathan Cleary is obviously going to have a couple, and then, Jerome Hughes is going to have a couple because, he's playing at Melbourne, and, it's going to be saturated by just a few teams because it's just those few teams who keep winning over and over again. But also, like State of Origin, he's never really made his mark. Has he had an opportunity? Not really. He's played one game, but he's not had an opportunity because he hasn't produced it on the field. Now, at times, Mitchell Moses can look like the best player in the whole comp, some could probably say. I probably wouldn't go that far, but he definitely looks like someone who is an elite level footballer. He's got speed, he's got agility, he's got the smarts, he got a little bit of smart ass about him, got a little bit of he can get into the heads of players, but the one thing he doesn't have is like the winning culture, I guess. We've seen him blow up at players a lot. We've seen him somewhat have fights with his own team on the field. Now, is that something that is being confirmed or anything? I don't know, but we definitely have seen it happen. It's been commented on that Mitchell Moses can blow up at his teammates kind of a little bit over the top at some points. But look, there's been a lot of speculation about whether he's going to stay at Parramatta, whether he's going to go to the West Tigers. Now, for me, West Tigers, they're always going to be a team who's going to go in for a guy like Mitchell Moses because he's one of their own. I'm sure when Tedesco's on the market, if it comes to that point, they'll probably try and bring him home as well. Luke Brooks has been there. It just hasn't worked. Now, it's ironic that they both played in the halves all these years back, and Luke Brooks has gone in one direction and Mitchell Moses has gone in the other. And yet they both sit with 0 premierships. Now, Luke Brooks obviously hasn't even played in a final series, so let's not even compare the two. Obviously, Mitchell Moses is a much better player in my opinion, but it kind of just shows, like, if Mitchell Moses had maybe stayed at the Tigers, we probably aren't talking about Mitchell Moses right now. It's probably not this high profile, maybe a superstar of the game. Now, when there was talk about Mitchell Moses coming to the Bulldogs, I'm a Bulldog supporter. I wasn't exactly thrilled. Now, I would have taken him for sure. Like, if Mitchell Moses is available and he's coming to your club, you're not going to be super mad at him signing with your club. Let's be realistic about it. But some of the money that's been thrown at Mitchell Moses, it actually baffles me. Like, the way they are sort of throwing money at him, you would think that he literally has won premierships and won Origin series and played for Australia and done this and that. When he hasn't. Even in the grand final. It's not like he stood up in the grand final. It's just, it's kind of crazy the amount of money. You think of how much, like there's all the talk about salary cap all the time. A team like the Tigers that have invested wisely, probably for the first time in their whole bloody endeavour as a club. Let's just look at like who they've actually brought. They brought Coruscant, Papalii, some very, very good signings, making some good moves. Adam Dewey, got rid of Hastings a little bit, questionable, but they've been building quite a nice side. Clemmer has come on board as well. They've got some really good signings, and then they want to go and stuff it up and throw like maybe the biggest contract in the NRL. I could be wrong there, but if it's not, it's somewhere near it. The biggest contract for a 28-year-old turning 29 this year, Mitchell Moses. By the time he gets there, he'll be pushing 30. And you're offering big money for a guy who's won absolutely nothing. Won no big games. Even the Eels. The Eels are always a team, and I'll get to the Eels. That's what I sort of want to talk about mainly as well, is the Eels are a side that we always look at them and go, like, yes, they made it to the grand final this past year. Kind of things fell into play. They've been able to beat some of the big sides at times. Mitchell Moses says, he's been pretty good for them. Dylan Brown there. Reed Mahoney's just left. The Eels have always had a pretty decent side, but it's always a 50-50 on whether they're going to go out in straight sets or if they're going to get knocked out in the semis. They're one of those sort of sides. You don't really talk about them actually winning the premiership. I know last year is probably the end of their premiership window too, and that's what I want to get on as well. But yeah, like teams going so hard for a guy like Mitchell Moses, it is a little bit confusing to me. And obviously, I think when I say teams going for him, I mean, it's kind of obvious it's only really the Eels who want to keep him, who's already there, and a team he used to play for. So, look at the fact that the Bulldogs, they went and signed that dude that hasn't even played NRL, and they're like, yep, that's cool, we're done. We don't need Mitchell Moses. So, so for everything that Mitchell Moses gets talked about as being a good player, I think it's representative that not a lot of teams are going after him. And, like I said, it's not like there's a heap of, like, star halfbacks going around, especially on the market. So the fact that no other clubs are really going after him, I think it says a lot. And they kind of probably are going to agree with what I've been saying. And that's where I was making this video and I started this and I thought, is this going to be a controversial opinion or is this going to be a popular one? And I think it's going to be a popular one. I think Eels fans would be happy to keep him. I think West Tigers fans would have been happy to sign him. But in my opinion, in terms of value for money and what he brings to the table for both of those sides, I think realistically, if you're a Tigers fan and he signs with the Eels, I think you should be happy. You've avoided that one. Yes, Luke Brooks isn't great, but you don't have to sign him just purely because he's the only guy there who will come to the club. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to do that. They've done that in the past and it hasn't worked for them. And I'm not saying stick with Luke Brooks forever. I thought Hastings is a much better player. Should have kept Hastings, in my opinion. But that's a whole different issue. But if you're the Eels, I think you're hoping that he signs for the West Tigers. Eels are in a rebuilding phase. Like I said, Mitchell Moses is pushing 30. Jacob Arthur definitely is not the future of the Eels. Let's just throw that out there. As much as Brad Arthur would like it to happen, it's just not it. But Dylan Brown definitely is. Dylan Brown is there. Josh Hodgson is a stopgap. Looks like Mitchell Moses, they're going to they sign those two guys up. So Hodgson, in my opinion, is done as like an elite level hooker. I could be proven wrong, could be sitting here and be absolutely embarrassed. Eels can make the top four or whatever. But Gutherson's there. He's good. You've got Dylan Brown, who is the future. But the rest of it, like, they're in a rebuilding phase for sure. And they're going to go and re-sign Mitchell Moses on a big deal. And it's like, all right, so you've locked in this halfback who couldn't get it done when you actually had a good side, when you actually had like a top-notch side, a top four side, probably should win a comp based off just the talent they've got. And they didn't really get close. Now they got to the grand final, but everybody knew Penrith was going to win. They had to play someone. And the grand final was realistically probably the week before. It's just Eels had to get there. They had to play someone in the final. So, look, for me, Mitchell Moses signing, whatever he ends up on signing for with the Eels, I think is going to be less than the Tigers, but still, that's a big chunky salary cap. Like I said, you got Dylan Brown there who's just re-signed. That's a good move. But realistically, going forward, you need probably a hooker, depending on if Josh Hodgson actually gets through this season, which is no guarantees. But they've just lost Reed Mahoney, who was young and probably was going to be the future of the club. He's gone to the Bulldogs. He's now one of their captains. You now got an aging hooker. And now, look, it seems weird to say this, but Mitchell Moses is sort of getting up into that aging range. So, I don't know, maybe Mitchell Moses is going to start breaking down too. We don't know that. But, realistically, like, if Eels had lost Mitchell Moses, it's not a big loss for me. It's not going to be great probably for the next year or two until you find a replacement, but he is someone, in my opinion, who is replaceable. He's not someone your team can't live without. We've even seen, like, when a Jacob Arthur has played, they've still been able to win games. It's just, they obviously don't look as good. Every team, apart from the select few, like I mentioned before, I didn't mention, like, Jerome Hughes earlier, but he's one of the better ones as well, Adam Reynolds. There's a lot of good halfbacks going around, and some are older, some aren't, but Mitchell Moses is not, like, in my opinion, he's not like a top 3 halfback or anything like that, but he's going to get paid like one. So I don't know if that's reflective of the market or just how desperate these sides are, but either way, I don't think it's a good move for either of these clubs, and whoever ends up signing him, if it was like the Dolphins or someone, like, you could understand, but it's like the Eels doing everything to keep Mitchell Moses and Tigers doing everything to bring him home. it's like, man, there's even out of the bunch, like you prefer Tedesco, Brooks stayed, Aaron Woods. Like, it's funny to think that they were the big four and the only like real superstar it ended up becoming was James Tedesco. Obviously, Mitchell Moses is very good as well, played for New South Wales. I'm by no means saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying value for money wise, absolutely terrible. So, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on this one. Whoever ends up signing him, looks like it's going to be the Eels. They're going to retain him. Like, it's not like the worst move of all time. It's nothing like that. I mean, there's been plenty of dud signings. At least you know what you're going to get with Mitchell Moses. But in terms of them progressing from like we're a pretty good team to being an elite side, he's not the guy you want. So that's why I was happy to not see him sign with the Bulldogs, and that's why I think Tigers and Eels fans should be unhappy if he actually signs for them. So yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section below. I think this is going to be quite controversial, but let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts of Mitchell Moses in general, and also what are your thoughts of him staying at the Eels, which is likely at the moment by the looks of things, but also going to the Tigers possibly, or should he sign? Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, imagine if he signed with like the Roosters or someone, like one of those sides where you can go in and, go and win a comp, something like that. I know they don't really have a spot for him, but just one of those sort of ones. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section below exactly what your thoughts on Mitchell Moses are. Anyways, I'm going to wrap things up here. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also, make sure to use the notification bell. Don't rely on those sub boxes. Use the notification bell and never miss any of my videos. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and chuck me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke and YT for the most part. My Facebook's Mr. Luke, but everything else, including Snapchat, including TikTok, it's Mr. Luke and YT. Give me a follow, give me an ad. Mainly use Instagram and Snapchat, but mainly Instagram. So definitely give me a follow on the Insta. But yeah, guys, become a member of the channel as well. Really helps out the channel. I'm going to be pushing that a little bit, especially with the NRL season coming on. I had quite a few members last year. Obviously, the off season was here. Wasn't uploading as much. Lost a lot of them. But it's time to get them back. Time to get the boys back. It does help out a lot becoming a member. Supports me, supports the channel. Allows me to invest in the channel a lot more. But yeah, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here. Hopefully you did enjoy this one. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe. I've already gone over it. But yeah, hopefully enjoy this video and enjoy videos in the future. I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.